You've been lied to your whole life, and it's tearing you apart. The world wants you to think Socrates was just some bearded old philosopher, calmly sipping poison, tossing out wise one-liners in Athenian markets. That's a lie, a sanitized cover-up. Socrates wasn't a passive dreamer. He was a warrior of the mind, a man who stared into the raw, unfiltered chaos of human nature, especially the feminine, and came out with truths so dangerous, they've been buried for centuries. This isn't about tearing women down. It's about lifting you up, giving you clarity, strength, the kind of wisdom that cuts through the noise of a world that wants you weak, confused, chasing shadows. If you're a man tired of pouring your heart into relationships, only to be ghosted, dismissed, forgotten, this is your wake-up call. Let's dig up what Socrates knew, why it scared the world, and how it can set you free. The chaos you've been sold. Socrates didn't just philosophize in the abstract. He lived in the fire. Married to Xanthippe, a woman whose name became a byword for volatility, he faced a daily storm. Ancient texts describe her as sharp-tongued, relentless, even publicly humiliating him by dumping water over his head. And Socrates? He didn't yell back. He didn't beg for peace. He laughed. Not out of weakness, but because he saw something you've been trained to ignore. Women aren't the soft, idealized muses of Hollywood rom-coms or the compliant partners of self-help books. They are a force, beautiful, unpredictable, testing. Socrates didn't try to control her chaos. He studied it. He saw that a woman's words often hide her instincts, that her emotions can clash with her actions, that what she says she wants isn't always what she chases. Today's American man, maybe you're in your late 20s, grinding through a 9-to-5, hitting the gym, swiping through dating apps, faces the same chaos, just wrapped in modern lies. You're told to be the nice guy, sensitive, communicative, always there. So, you text her good morning, plan thoughtful dates, apologize when she's upset, even if you don't know why. You're following the script society handed you, believing it'll win her love. But then, she drifts. Her texts get shorter. She cancels plans. Or worse, she stays but looks right through you, her heart already elsewhere. You're left wondering what you did wrong, why your effort wasn't enough. The answer isn't in her. It's in you. You've been sold a lie that sameness equals attraction, that becoming more like her, more emotional, more agreeable, will win her heart. Socrates knew better. He saw through the illusion of equality, not of worth, but of sameness. Men and women aren't the same. They're opposites, wired for tension, not harmony. And that tension, that's where desire lives. Mastering the nothing bothers me mindset. To reclaim your strength, you need to start with mastering the nothing bothers me mindset. A philosophy Socrates lived when Xanthippe's storms raged. This isn't about being cold or numb. It's about building an inner fortress. Socrates didn't react to her provocations because he knew reacting from weakness hands your power away. When she poured water on him, he didn't argue or sulk. He laughed, not because he was weak, but because he was untouchable. He'd learned to detach from the chaos without losing his center. For you, this means breaking the cycle of overreacting to her tests. She cancels a date? Don't fire off a needy text asking why. She gives you the silent treatment. Don't beg for an explanation. These are tests not of your love, but of your strength. Modern men are conditioned to see every slight as a crisis, every silence as rejection. But what if you saw it as a chance? A chance to show you're unshaken, that your worth doesn't hinge on her approval. Picture this. You're at a bar, and she throws a playful jab about your shirt. The old you might laugh nervously, over-explain your choice, or change the subject. The new you smile, hold her gaze, say nothing or maybe a calm. You wish you could pull this off. No defensiveness. No need to prove yourself. Just presence. This mindset doesn't come easy. It starts with small acts of defiance against your own insecurity. Next time you feel the urge to overtext, put the phone down. When she pushes your buttons, take a breath, let the moment pass. Over time, This builds a quiet confidence that women feel before they understand. It's the difference between the guy who's always on and the one who's effortlessly in control. The polarity that fuels desire. Socrates didn't just endure Xanthippes' chaos, he used it as a crucible. He said, "By all means, marry. If you get a good wife, you'll be happy. If you get a bad one, you'll become a philosopher." This wasn't a quip. It was a battle cry, a truth about transformation. A woman's chaos will either break you or forge you into something stronger. Most men break. They explain, they plead, they mold themselves to her whims, thinking it's love. But Socrates knew love isn't compliance, it's conviction. He didn't argue to win her approval. He stayed rooted, observing her contradictions, letting her storms pass without losing himself. This is where polarity comes in, not misogyny, but magnetism. Think of a bar magnet. One end positive, the other negative. They don't merge. They attract because they're different. Men and women are the same. Masculine energy is steady, penetrating, purposeful. Feminine energy is fluid, receptive, chaotic. When you try to be what she says she wants, soft, vulnerable, endlessly available, you collapse that polarity. You become a mirror, not a man. She might say she wants a man who's emotionally open, but watch her when you spill your heart too soon. Her eyes glaze over. Her texts slow down. She's not cruel, she's wired to test for strength. Think about the American male experience. You're in your 30s, maybe climbing the corporate ladder, or hustling a side gig, trying to get it right. You've been told to be the provider, the listener, the partner who shares the load. But when you do, she pulls away. Why? Because you've traded your edge for comfort. You've mistaken kindness for neediness, leadership for control. Socrates would tell you, stop listening to her words. Start watching her instincts. She doesn't want a man who orbits her life, who makes her the center of his universe. She wants a man with a mission, a purpose, bigger than her approval. A man who can stand in the storm of her emotions and not flinch. That's not cruelty, it's clarity. That's not dominance, it's presence. The trap of modern expectations. The modern world has turned politeness into a weapon against you. You're told your masculinity is toxic, your assertiveness threatening. So, you soften. You apologize for taking up space. You suppress your instincts to avoid being that guy. But what's the cost? You become forgettable. You become the guy she texts when she's bored, not the one she dreams about. You become the safe option, not the one who sets her soul on fire. Socrates saw this trap 2,500 years ago. He knew that trying to please everyone, especially a woman, meant betraying yourself. And betrayal of self is the death of attraction. Here's the brutal truth. Women don't choose men based on logic. They choose based on feeling. She might say she wants a man who's kind, communicative, emotionally available. But her biology craves something deeper. A man with a spine. A man who can't be fully known. A man who carries mystery. When you give her everything, your time, your heart, your secrets, you kill that mystery. You become predictable, and predictability is the enemy of desire. Socrates understood this as divine madness, the irrational pull of attraction that defies what people say they want. You see it every day in America. The nice guy who does everything right gets zoned, while the guy with an edge, a purpose, a life beyond her, becomes the one she can't stop thinking about. Consider the guy who's always there. He responds to her texts in seconds, cancels plans with his buddies to be with her, says, "I'm sorry," for things he didn't do, just to keep the peace. He thinks he's showing love, but he's showing dependence. And dependence kills desire. Now, think of the guy who's building something. A business, a craft, a legacy. He's not cold, but he's not always available either. He's got a fire in him, a purpose that burns brighter than her approval. That's the guy she remembers, the one she texts first, the one she feels in her bones. Not because he's cruel, but because he's whole. The cost of chasing approval. Let's face the moment every man dreads. When she forgets you, you poured your heart out. You were there through her tears, her doubts, her worst days. You shared dreams, planned a future. She said things like, "You're the one," or "I've never felt this way." Then, weeks or even days later, she's gone. You see her on Instagram, laughing with some new guy, glowing in a way she never did with you. You feel discarded, like your love was invisible. Socrates would look you in the eye and say, "You weren't forgotten because you weren't good enough. You were forgotten because you were too predictable." That burns, doesn't it? You gave her your entire self too soon. Your emotions, your attention, your soul. You thought it would earn loyalty, but it killed the tension. It collapsed the polarity. You became too known, too safe, too available. Women don't fall for men who collapse into them. They fall for men who challenge them to rise. The ones she remembers, the ones she obsesses over years later, aren't always the richest or the best looking. They're the ones who carried mystery, who had a spine beneath the softness, who could walk away and mean it. Because here's the paradox. The man who doesn't need her is the one she needs most. This isn't about arrogance. It's about sovereignty. Your validation comes from your mission, not her approval. She becomes a witness to your life, not the center of it. In America, where men are bombarded with messages to be better by being less assertive, less dominant, less themselves, this is a radical act. You're not here to orbit her. You're here to build something so compelling she wants to be part of it. And if she doesn't, that's her loss, not your failure. Reclaiming your core. So, how do you become that man, the one she doesn't forget? The one who doesn't chase but pulls her into his orbit? It starts with reclaiming your core, a process Socrates called self-examination. He didn't write his philosophy down because truth isn't spoken, it's lived. You don't prove your worth with words or grand gestures. You prove it with presence. When she tests you, and she will, with silence, arguments, withdrawal, don't react, don't explain, don't apologize, unless you genuinely mean it. Stand in your truth. Let her feel the weight of your silence, the strength of your stillness. This isn't about playing games or being cold. It's about being whole. A man who knows himself doesn't need her to complete him. He doesn't bend to her moods or chase her approval. He builds a life so compelling that she wants to be part of it. Think of the men who leave a mark, not just on women, but on the world. The entrepreneur who risks everything for his vision. The artist who creates without apology. The leader who stands firm when everyone else wavers. These men don't chase women. Women chase the energy they embody. In the American context, this means practical steps. If you're stuck in a soul-sucking job, start a side hustle that lights you up. If you're scrolling through dating apps, hoping the next swipe will fix your loneliness, delete them and focus on your craft. Train your body like it's a weapon. Lift heavy, run hard, feel your strength. Read books that challenge your mind, not just ones that make you feel good. Surround yourself with men who push you to be better, not ones who let you coast. When your life has weight, women notice not because you're trying to impress them, but because you've become undeniable. The power of silence. Socrates was famous for his silence. He didn't need to fill every moment with words, because his presence spoke louder. In a world where men are taught to over-explain, to justify, to beg for understanding, this is revolutionary. Silence isn't emptiness, it's power. When she throws a test your way, an eye roll, a sharp comment, a sudden withdrawal, your instinct is to fill the gap, to explain why you're enough, to prove you're worth her time. But every word you speak in desperation chips away at her respect. Not because she's cruel, but because she's wired to feel your core. And your core isn't found in words, it's revealed in how you carry yourself under pressure. Picture this. You're on a date, and she says something to push your buttons, maybe a jab about your job or your past. The old you might jump to defend yourself, to tell her why she's wrong. The new you pause. You hold her gaze. You let the moment hang. Maybe you smirk and say, "That's cute," before changing the subject. Or maybe you say nothing at all. That silence isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the signal that you're not rattled, that her test didn't break you. And that's what she feels, even if she doesn't say it. Her body, her energy, her gaze, they never lie. But only a man rooted in his truth will see the difference. The myth of the nice guy. Let's tear down the nice guy myth once and for all. You've been told that being kind, attentive, emotionally available will make her love you. So, you try. You listen to her vent about her day, plan thoughtful gestures, make her the center of your world. And what happens? She pulls away. She calls you sweet, but stops returning your calls. Or worse, she keeps you around as her emotional support while she pines for someone else. This isn't her fault, it's the lie you bought into. Socrates would laugh not at you, but at the absurdity of it. He knew that human beings, especially women, don't choose based on logic. They choose based on feeling. She might say she wants a man who's kind and communicative, but her instincts crave contrast, tension, mystery. When you're too available, too predictable, you kill that tension. You become the guy she leans on, not the one she longs for. The nice guy isn't attractive because he's nice. He's unattractive because he's needy. His kindness comes with strings, his attention with expectations. And women, wired to sense inauthenticity, feel it in their bones. Contrast this with the man who has an edge. He's not cruel, but he's not a doormat either. He's kind, but his kindness has boundaries. He listens, but he doesn't live for her approval. He's the guy who's building something, a business, a skill, a legacy, and invites her to be part of it, not the center of it. That's the man she remembers, the one she texts late at night, the one she can't quite figure out. Not because he's playing games, but because he's living his truth. The test of her chaos. Women test men not out of malice, but out of instinct. Every eye roll, every cold shoulder, every "you've changed" is a question. Can you hold your ground, or will you collapse? Most men collapse. They argue, they explain, they apologize for things they didn't do, all to keep the peace. But every unnecessary apology erodes her respect. She doesn't want you to be a tyrant, she wants you to be whole. She wants to feel your strength, not your submission. Socrates faced this every day with Xanthippe. Her outbursts weren't betrayals, they were invitations to grow. He didn't try to fix her or win her over. He observed her, learned from her, used her chaos to sharpen his mind. You can do the same. When she tests you, see it as feedback, not failure. If she pulls away, don't chase, let her go, and focus on your mission. If she challenges you, don't argue, stand firm, and let your actions speak. This isn't about winning her, it's about not losing yourself. In the American dating scene, tests are everywhere. She might flake on a date to see if you'll beg for another. She might push your buttons to see if you'll crack. She might go silent to see if you'll panic. The old you would have reacted texting too much, over-explaining, trying to fix it. The new you let it be. You focus on your work, your goals, your growth. You show her, not with words, but with your life, that you're a man who doesn't bend. And that's when she starts chasing you, not because you manipulated her, but because you became the man her instincts can't ignore. The fire of your purpose. Socrates taught that the unexamined life is not worth living. For modern men, this means one thing: find your fire. Your purpose isn't just a job or a hobby, it's the thing that makes you get up in the morning, the thing that burns brighter than any woman's approval. In America, where men are bombarded with distractions, endless streaming shows, dopamine hits from social media, the pressure to keep up, finding your purpose, is a rebellion. It's a refusal to live someone else's script. What's your fire? Maybe it's starting a business that changes your community, bringing in $50,000 a year to start, then scaling to $150,000. Maybe it's mastering a craft, writing, painting, coding that leaves a mark on the world. Maybe it's leading others, whether in a gym, a boardroom, or a family. Whatever it is, it has to be bigger than her. Because when your life is built on something real, women don't just notice, they're drawn to it. They want to be part of a man's story, not the whole of it. Take a moment to think about the men you admire. Maybe it's the entrepreneur who built a company from nothing, turning $5,000 into $1 million empire. Maybe it's the musician who pours his soul into every note, or the father who leads his family with quiet strength. These men aren't chasing women, they're chasing something greater. And women chase them, not because they're perfect, but because they're purposeful. They've got a fire that can't be extinguished, and that fire is magnetic. The man she remembers. Picture this. You're no longer the guy who texts back in 5 seconds, who cancels plans to be with her, who apologizes for things he didn't do. You're the guy who's calm under pressure, who has a purpose that burns brighter than her approval. You're the guy who can walk away, not out of spite, but because your life is too full to orbit hers. That's the man she remembers. That's the man she dreams about years later, even when she's with someone else. Not because you're perfect, but because you're real. This transformation isn't easy. It requires facing the parts of yourself you've avoided, the insecurities, the fears, the ways you've betrayed yourself to be liked. Ask yourself, where am I softening my edges to avoid conflict? Where am I chasing instead of leading? Where am I living for her instead of for me? The answers will hurt, but they'll set you free. Because when you stop performing for her, you start living for you. And that's when everything changes. She doesn't just see you, she feels you. Her instincts, the ones that override her words, will pull her toward you. Not because you manipulated her, but because you became the man nature wired her to seek. This truth is a fire, and it's meant to burn. Socrates didn't die for his ideas because they were safe. He died because they were dangerous. The most dangerous truth of all is this: you don't need her to be whole. You need you. So, stop chasing. Stop apologizing. Stop shrinking. Build a life that makes you proud, and the women worth having will find you. If this hit you where it hurts, if it woke something in you, don't let it fade. Like this video to spread the truth. Share it with a brother who's lost his way. Subscribe to join the movement and keep this fire alive. The world doesn't need more noise, it needs men who know who they are.